like to call a meeting, Open Space Committee meeting to order. It's 10 past, no, it's
2:09.
2. Oh, really? That clock says 5:02, but, or
Nice.
10 past 11, more likely. 2:09 on April 4th, 2023. Okay, and we are not being videoed, perhaps.
Yes,
We are
Yeah.
being videoed?
What's
Okay.
up?
He's just gonna edit it to when we started.
Okay,
And we'll erase before erase
yeah,
after.
because he's working on it.
Yes, because he's doing double duty.
All right. Okay. Do we want to review the minutes from March 20th and 21st meetings? I recuse from the 21st, because I wasn't here, but, so with the minutes, let's see. Has everyone seen the minutes?
Yes.
Okay, any corrections?
No, I move that we accept both dates minutes
So moved?
as written.
So moved? Second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And the open space and recreation plan, I haven't seen where is it? Danny sent it somewhere, and
Oh.
is there a copy of it online that I could look at?
Okay, so I'll pitch in first. Yes, Danny sent it. There's a link. And if you click on the link, the document comes up, right? But what you have to do, yes, but what you have to do is scroll to the bottom of, or move to the bottom of your screen where there should be a bar that has a plus and minus so you can magnify it. And then you also have to move your bar at the bottom over because there's these huge margins on the page. So, yeah, so you can view it there. It's 200 and something pages?
Yes.
So.
Or download it as a PDF file.
Right,
That's what I did, yeah.
you can download it as well, but, you know, it's massive.
So she sent you the link, or I haven't heard from her at all. Did she
Yeah.
add it to her old one?
No,
Was that?
You were on the list that she sent it to.
I'll find it and just send it to you again.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were on the list. I think it was just before you left or something. No, it was before then.
Yeah, it was before.
So, yeah, you
Yeah,
can
maybe
see
I
it that
just-
way.
I'll see if I have
Isn't
it.
in this link that you just sent? No? Is that it?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Can you
Yeah,
forward
actually,
it to
I
Sue?
just resent the link to, when I sent it to the selectmen and
That's right.
everyone else. That link is in there. And
Did you get that
I
letter?
did a blank carbon copy to the
Yeah.
Open Space Committee.
Did you get that today, Sue?
I haven't gone on this afternoon, or
No, it was this morning.
About
Yeah,
11-ish or so.
11:04.
not too early.
It's
Yes, we
11:04.
dated down.
Well, if you don't see it, tell me, and I'll get it to you.
Okay. So, all those people
So,
have,
I did, apparently I didn't go to the correct main channels, so I did Kevin Morse, Jennifer, and Steve Zisk.
okay.
And I gave them a deadline of May 4th.
That's a month, so.
Yes, I figured that was enough time for them to go over it, and respectfully requested, you know, for them to go over it.
Mhm.
Let them know that the planning board and the board of selectmen was required letters of support for the plan. Other boards would be a bonus that we would like, and they can pass it along to any other boards, because I didn't know who else I was supposed to send it to,
I just forwarded it to you.
Okay.
so. But yeah, I did that this morning. I figured, well, I might as well jump on the bandwagon and get that
Great.
going.
All right.
So we could, conservation and recreation could also be,
I didn't know what to do for recreation.
Well,
I
that's
did the
Jen.
Concom.
Isn't that Jen Coutu, or, no, Jen?
She's planning board.
she's planning board and conservation. I think she also does conservation.
Well, I
But
did conservation just to exist.
Recreation is to, Tim Bonin, the selectman.
If he's on the selectmen, because I'm gonna resend it to Lisa so it goes to all the selectmen. So if he's on the board of selectmen, he'll get it that way then.
Yes,
Okay. But I didn't realize Tim was.
but I don't,
But who's the woman? that
Matt,
works in
when
the
you get a
bank?
chance, can you check the website? Because I don't believe there's a
There
recreation,
isn't.
there's no recreation commission on the website anymore.
I just asked about this about a week ago, because I didn't know we had a recreation committee.
They're elected.
Yeah, I didn't know. So, and I haven't worked, with my
Elected.
office hasn't worked with them yet, so
Yeah.
I'll definitely check into that.
It's the woman that works at the bank.
I think she's still on,
She's a
Jennifer
Jen.
Goslin.
Jen, yeah, that's
Right.
the one who I was thinking of, Jen Goslin.
but there are 2 spots for recreation commissioners on the ballot
Okay.
for May's election, and I know Tim Bonin, who's a selectman, is also on the commission, because he came to one of our earliest meetings. And, I'm not sure who else is, but it would be great to get a letter from them. But when I looked last, there was no recreation commission even listed on the
Yeah, I looked
website, and I was
this
like,
morning, I'm like,
yeah.
Well, then, things are proceeding, we'll just wait for the, I mean, I think maybe we should contact the Danny's replacement.
Yep.
I don't mind doing that. I'll do that. And tell them we're waiting on the maps. Anything else for the open space and recreation, or anything else you can think of or we need to proceed with on that plan?
I still have to double check the, I didn't get to that, the conservation, that the conservation land is still on there, correctly.
Which one, the Briarwood?
Yeah.
Yeah. But that, we'll see that on the maps, but yeah.
Yeah, but we had a listing, right, in a table that she had created,
Yeah.
and there was some, couple of mysteries in that, yeah. But that should, we should make sure that's on there.
Recreation committee.
Well, at least we're here still. All right. Walnut Street? That's water under the bridge, huh?
And you have a copy of the letter that they sent, correct?
Yes, I do. Anyone want to see it? It's right here.
Maybe we should just make a copy so Becky has it in the file, or,
So that was an interesting meeting.
yeah. It was good though. Teachable moment, right? Yep.
All right. And, let's see here. The things, we were gonna post the open space and recreation plan on the website for our comment period. And I noticed, what did I go on? Went on something that it said our meetings are Thursdays, the third Thursday of the month at 7 PM. Is that's not the website, that was,
Calendar?
yeah, I think, probably I just redundant, yeah, so. As needed, we should have it. Maybe
who would
website.
post that on your website?
Hmm?
Who would post that on the website?
Postings for us go through, Jen can do those.
Jen, go
Yeah, I
ahead.
can ask Jen to do it.
Yeah, she's done stuff for us before.
Sure. I'll do that. Do that right now. In fact, I'm gonna use
So
your
when
email.
should we post our meetings
works.
for? Do we want to pick a monthly time to have them? And then we could put that on there and then, and put the open space and recreation plan on the site as well.
Well, that's still a draft, right?
right?
Yes.
So we need,
But comments, or comment
Oh.
period.
meeting time, I mean, we could alternate, or we could, if we needed a special meeting or something, we could have it in the evening, but I don't know if that really gets us far, to have meetings in the evening.
Yeah, you know, if someone has an issue, they can reach out to us and we can have a meeting in the evening, but if that's what suits them.
I have another question, speaking about reaching out. I noticed all the other boards in town, they have like a town email address. You look on, for us, there's no contact information for anybody. So how would anyone get in contact with us unless they knew us? If they go to the town website?
Well, just the box, which who knows that there's a box, you know, and
Yeah,
send
who
a letter
knows
to the
that?
town open space committee.
Yeah, but somebody wanted to.
Yeah, but then they have to either mail it or actually physically come.
Right.
Right. So we should request a,
Better contact, yeah.
well, can't we just get like an open space committee email address? Who sets those up? I'm totally unclear how the whole website operates, or doesn't.
Yeah.
If we do get an open space committee email, who would be answering it?
The question is how is it answered? Do you have to answer it through the town website?
I think what we'd probably do is create one that automatically forwards and applies through either Jen or myself, so that we can pass it off to you guys, since you guys are the volunteers.
You just post it, send it to one of us and then we'll.
This way
share it.
admin gets the emails, give them to you guys.
Or do what I do? I have a thing called Douglas Open Space, and I got all your guys' emails on it, so I just have to hit that and it goes to all of you.
Yeah.
That's,
All right, I'll ask her.
And, you know, then we could receive things like, you know, development ideas and things like that before we hear about them too late.
Mhm.
Be one way to get more
it'd
in
be easier
touch.
for Jen to send the information to us,
Plans.
because we have a contact.
Mhm.
I was like, I looked at that today, I'm like, really?
Yeah.
We gotta move up in the world.
So, I think Tuesdays at 2 are good for me.
Mhm. We've been doing that for a while, and
Yeah,
it mostly works for me.
Yeah.
so second Tuesday of the month or something, so we don't have to worry about paying bills at the same
I move
time.
that we accept the
Hmm?
second Tuesday of the month as our regular meeting day.
At 2.
But
2. Tuesday.
Let's see, GBL.
Would you like me to check with some of the other boards and committees, make sure rooms are available?
But it's during the day, so,
That shouldn't be a problem.
yeah,
Yes,
we've
right.
never really,
Yeah,
we've
we
met
haven't
Danny
had a
here
problem.
like every
Yeah.
3 weeks,
Mm.
and we don't care where. We'll go in the kitchen.
I'll second that.
See what's left over.
So we'll forgo next week, but we'll start meeting the second Tuesday in May,
Okay.
because the second Tuesday in April is next week,
Yeah.
unless we need to.
Have a little break to do our projects. Get our gardens in.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So the next meeting is,
May 9th. Unless there's, something that comes up, and then you can just send us a note, and there's 2 days to post, right?
mhm.
It's easier if it's always on the same day.
So that means I get the minutes out before the agenda out on Fridays, no, on Thursdays. Because Fridays it's closed.
That's right.
All right. Well, talked about a town meeting presentation in May, but,
Well, that was tied to the Walnut Street
yeah.
parcel,
Okay,
no?
that's right, yeah. And, all right, I guess, and what we sort of learned when you went before the Board of Selectmen is that well, even since talking to the owner on Walnut Street, that there's tricky little turns in Chapter 61 laws, and that is it true that if someone takes it out of 61, we have a year, the town has a year to look at that land?
So right now, I passed out this copy of the Town of Auburn's process, but in addition, the state just changed the filing deadline, or I believe it's this year, to, if you want to reapply to keep your property in Chapter 61, 61A or 61B to, I believe it's, I
Used to
can't,
be October,
1st, and now
Yeah.
it's December 1st, I think.
oh,
So there are changes that have been made, and what I would prefer is that everybody read through this for homework, and then when we come to our next meeting, we can go through and say, okay, some of these have changed. I think, Matt, you said there's an updated version maybe of what Auburn does?
No, this
Oh,
appears
this
to be
is-
it. When Julie put out her request to extend the deadline from 90 days to under 20 days, she clearly adopted a policy at the same time. So this was after.
Oh, okay.
This is the newest, I think.
So it did, as far as, I haven't read the whole thing myself, but as far as a person keeping their land in chapter, the deadline has changed. And there might be a couple other things that have been adjusted, so I think we can, yeah, we can look at that going, when we go to possibly make our own version. Because right now, what Suzanne Kane suggested for process is basically one page with a couple deadlines, but it's got no explanation. And I kind of like this because it's got some explanation to it. So if there's a gap or personnel changes, this clarifies things a little better.
Where's an old copy that we can find online, or just
Um,
go under Douglas's 61A?
Suzanne's?
Yeah.
I think it might be online, or I think Lisa Freeman has a copy. But it's just good for us to know how it works, so I think that's a pretty straightforward explanation of process. And that way we save some money on always going to council all the time saying, oh, can you clarify this, or?
And then they don't know. Did they ever figure it out?
The only message we got from town council, was that it was a straight up or down vote. And we also didn't get clarity on whether or not would have been in time to be on the warrant, but it was a moot point at that.
Yeah. I thought they were asking about the driveway, but that was a moot point too, because it was out of 61.
Mhm.
oh, so it is, that technically was out of 61
The neighboring one,
then. Okay,
but not the one that had a bid on it.
okay, didn't know that.
So it'd also be good, for our own purposes, education, to understand also, and I think I have some, information, maybe from, the Land Trust Coalition or something. But anyway, when a landowner takes their property out of Chapter 61, or if you don't renew it, that means you've taken it out, but because we're talking about FY fiscal year 24 already, and this is our calendar year 23. So if you don't renew for 23, it doesn't come out of chapter protection. There's like a year lag until 24. So in this case, I think, I'm not totally sure, but the owner was having questions about how the assessor calculates the amount of back taxes you owe. So if you took your parcel out, you would pay the back taxes calculated on that parcel. If, however, you had done a plan, and you filed a plan that had
Higher values for those parcels.
house
right?
lots on those parcels, then you're assessed back taxes at the house lot rate, not at the,
So she got a little bit messed up on that.
well, I'm not totally positive, so, I mean, that's part of the question, and that's part of the reticence of some people not putting their property in chapter 61. Because it's for tax protection, and if you're not careful with following,
Yeah,
and you
have to really
don't
be-
talk to your assessor about the process beforehand, you could be surprised.
So when we go to talk to these individual landowners, we should be straight about how, you know, there are loopholes, but if you're smart, you know, if you do it the right way, then.
Well, a lot of property owners just pass the cost of the back taxes onto the price of the land. But so it works, so that the town has access to some of this, is to make sure that, okay, if you're taking your parcel out, unless you're doing it for other tax purposes, don't put an engineered plan on it first. Take it out, wait a year, then do your plan.
Rather than just taking 2 acres out each time, and as a planned piece,
Right.
that really would take a much bigger bite out.
Mhm.
Savings.
So it might be worth it too for one of our meetings to have the assessor come in and talk to us. You can do a bit about how to read the tax card and what the different codes are and things like that, and how, what's evaluation versus tax rate and things like that, because the tax rate could go up, but your evaluation of your property could go down. And so you aren't in fact paying more taxes. But that's all, because it's always good for us to be able to, if we're advocating for open space, to be educated about how these things work,
Ooh, I don't know, yeah, really.
you know. And if somebody wants market value for some, or the difference between appraised value and market value is pretty substantial, so. That's what I would recommend, a workshop with assessors at some point, with the assessor.
Anything else?
Well, I'd like to ask Matt if you have any heads up on any open space we should be looking at, or,
Not currently, no. Nothing that's come up in chapter for sale or anything like that. I don't know of any.
or any of these projects or subdivisions
Um,
offering anything?
Yeah, I think you're already aware of the Sutton Douglas one that we approved last year, had about half of its property, 55 acres, so dedicated to open space. That's off of Conservation Drive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the only one.
55 acres there, and how big is the plot?
Little thing, 110. I think it's,
So that half of it is,
Yeah, just somewhere all along the river there.
it's coming in off of Duval Road from Sutton, connecting to Forest Street in Douglas. But ton of protected open space, and I mean like NHESP open space, a lot of it.
But is that gonna be under chapter 97, or is that gonna be given to the Conservation Commission, or?
Commission.
And they're gonna have chapter 97 protection on it?
Perpetuity.
And what about this is the development that doesn't happen up by Walnut Street? Some of this property that we're looking at, the town-owned property abuts, is it Jefferson? No, Jefferson Drive, was it Jackson Drive? No. Thomas Circle?
Oh, right, yeah, Thomas Circle, right.
So was that back parcel possibly gonna go to the town as well?
Yes.
And so what's the status of that now?
Private ownership, that they haven't done anything with it, haven't proceeded with the project. Usually you don't transfer that stuff until you accept the road, and they never even built any houses, so.
Right, and they're trying to rewrite our zoning laws or something, they offered to.
Someone new was interested in purchasing it,
Yeah.
and they need some new,
We'll help you out.
they only
if
want to
there's
do
a-
it if there's a rule in their favor, so,
Right.
and I don't mean it negatively or anything, I think it's a decent, the thing's just sitting there. I mean, it's just a cul-de-sac with
Right.
roads around it, and
And we
it's,
probably need, is it, so 41B, is it gonna, satisfy some of that stuff? The low-income housing?
it's supposed to, some of it, yeah.
So, some of
That's the
that
requirement
needs
they're
be
trying to
paid.
avoid.
Huh?
The new developer's trying to avoid having the
Right.
affordability component, so that would require a bylaw change, because there's no way around it right now.
So those are tiny lots.
Yes. Yeah, there were 2 family lots. I think there's 17 of them, total of 34 units, something like that.
Yeah, and we looked at the access to that conservation land from Chestnut Street, and it's, Becky walked around in there for an hour. It's wet, but, it's still usable, and that Thomas Circle side is higher.
Yeah, it gets us away from the wetlands.
Yeah,
Jamaica.
the Thomas Circle piece, the access portion is where the detention pond is. Other than that, there's no other way to get to it.
Except if we had,
If you had a trail.
Right.
If we had a trail there on that side of the river,
Hmm.
or Tinker Brook, I should say,
Hmm.
is really, really wet to stay on town property.
Gotcha.
So if we got up to that embankment, it would be up high enough for us to go a trail on that side. We were discussing possibilities of which side to build a trail on down the road, depending on how we got access on Walnut Street. As of right now,
Mhm.
the side on the other side
Mhm.
is better, but access might end up coming in on this side, and that would, to make it doable, would be the Thomas Circle
Right.
property.
And those lots could get realigned. We could give us an opening, because the new applicant's gonna change it somehow. They might have to repurpose some of the lots, change some of the configuration. Maybe we ask for a 50-foot strip or something. It
And it
could
would
happen.
make the property more valuable, as far as I would think.
Yeah, yeah. I don't disagree.
It'd be nice to have
Recreation
a trail
access
from
to
each
trails always
access.
increases property values.
When I worked for the town of Natick, that was an absolute requirement. If there's a trail, you will connect to it, no matter what property you're developing.
so, in your opinion, what would be the best way for us to work with the Conservation Commission or others? Because this is like the second or third time we see conservation land given to the town with little to no access.
The Duval one? Is there any access to that
which
besides on the Duval Road one?
Preservation.
I haven't seen it in a while. They haven't started.
We'd love to see the plan.
I think there
to
were
see
some
if there's-
strips, but they weren't big. 20 feet wide in a couple of spots, maybe. One off conservation, one off of. Can't think of the other street.
I think they're online.
The Fairfield?
The street, yeah, I forget what that is.
Birch Street?
Yeah, yes.
That's,
No, this is Birch.
Grove Street?
This is Manchard, right? So this is where this one is.
Right.
There's like a 20-foot strip there, and then there's a 20-foot strip here coming into Conservation Drive.
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure that the yellow polygons for NHESP are like right in this area.
So going in through that area would step on whatever
Mhm.
sensitive habitat is there, so that's not good.
I think there's just a narrow strip up here.
Yeah, so where do people park? Where do people access the trail? And then we've got the Keven property off of Southeast Main Street that, I don't know, maybe was accessible at one point, and then there are boulders moved on top of it. So basically, there's a footpath to access the property. And there was sort of, I don't know, maybe what, 2 parking spaces?
If it's kind of cleared out, yes.
But it would have to be cleared out with some big machinery.
Yeah.
I see.
So,
They're
it's sort
not-
of,
yeah, they're not thinking of that kind
Right.
of stuff where we are.
No, yeah, they're not, no. They would just give us the link and say, figure it out.
That's,
Yeah. And that's a requirement of our flex development, or one of our bylaws is you have to give 50% of the developable open space to the town.
Really?
They don't necessarily say it has to have access, and that's something we can update. But something we should certainly be cognizant of moving forward. Now, may I ask a question, Madam Chair? Does this town have a trails committee or any stewards or anything that maintain trails, create signs, have any funding, any sort of anything?
just volunteer groups like Bay State does.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Which is the state, well, a lot of it is state land that you
Mhm. And none of the trails have their own right-of-ways or anything, they're just there, they don't have easements on property in most cases, they just exist. So they're just, except for the SNET, of course, which has its own, the trunk line, and there's 2 trails that have that, but there's all these little ones and all this private open space, sometimes town-owned open space, but they're not like demarcated with easements or anything like that to keep them protected as trails, right? We don't have anything like that.
No.
Correct.
So my question is that something this committee would be interested in having?
Yes, that's in the open space and recreation plan.
Yeah.
I do believe there's a trails committee down the road
That would
to
be, I
be
think,
pushing this.
then you get these trails mapped, get them on the town website, all that stuff.
Yeah.
Accessibility, all that goes with it. But some of the grants we'll be able to apply for because of the open space plan is things like parking lots and stuff like that. So it's,
Plus, we're hoping to start working on the CPA. Community coordination.
So if you look at the map that CMRPC generated, there are trails on there that, I guess, there are very few through private property because they're not named or anything. So most of the trails are on, at least begin on state property and then maybe
Yeah.
wander off or whatever, but they aren't designated.
Yeah, like the state forest trails and all that. Yeah, I figured that. I was just curious about the town-owned stuff, and if there's connections
Well, that's
Signage.
a big thing we need to do
and.
is
Okay.
break into these places.
Okay. I was just trying to think back, like if we knew there was an existing trail there when they were donating this land, something we were prepared for. I don't think that came up
Maybe
at all.
there is, a lot of people live on Fairfield Court that might know about it, a trail, but.
I'm just nervous about that particular parcel because of all the yellow polygons. I mean, I like going on nature walks, but I don't want to step on the wrong turtle.
Yeah.
Well, that's, in some respects, that's why it would be good if at some point we could get in there and designate a trail
Yeah.
and,
Keep everyone out of the
Right,
sensitive
Right,
areas.
Right.
Educate people
Where to
about
go.
them.
stay on the trail, that kind of thing. Because otherwise they'll get in there and make a mess.
Yeah.
Give them someplace to go.
Right.
And you get into the creation of trails and ADA compliance. That wonderful thing that just happened with the SNET conference I had with the state a year and a half ago. Trying to get it paved, half side for horses. And this is, Douglas was like, no.
But I just saw a presentation of trails out in the Berkshires, and they don't have paved trails everywhere.
Yeah, I thought it was bizarre.
And people are using the trails all the time, like crazy, with wheelchairs, with other assisted devices, and nobody's hollering to have it paved.
I haven't heard anything about that since,
Oh.
which is, I guess, good.
Hopefully.
But- yeah, hopefully. But some of the other towns part of the SNET were actually supportive of it. I think one of them was Bellingham.
Blackstone, too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
We have
That sounds
the,
gonna end up getting the viaducts paved,
Oh, there.
that whole thing section, yeah, big money.
Mhm.
But Bellingham and Franklin, they did the stabilized stone dust.
oh, okay. Yeah, I remember whatever town was on the front was all about it. I can't remember which one it was. It was either Franklin or Bellingham.
Franklin.
Yeah, they were supportive, at least that's what the state officials said on the call. So, but I knew Douglas wasn't, because the second we got someone from the equestrian group out there, that's all it took, horses don't do well on pavement, so.
No, but all that section from Franklin back into Bellingham is all stone dust.
Yeah, I think they were just in support of it being
Yeah.
paved.
But not me, maybe.
They would need all towns, we weren't one of them. So we kind of made it, we sent them back to the drawing board, and we haven't heard since.
Yeah.
Spend the money and make a bridge over 146. Put a light on 146.
What would you say, the flexible development bylaw, they have to give 50% to the town?
I can't remember if it's the flex bylaw or it's just one of our subdivision regulations, but it's one of the others.
But there was no guaranteed access.
I don't recall. I gotta check.
Okay, let's have to look up then.
Or do you know if the zoning and development bylaws are up to date on the website?
I'll ask the town clerk. The last changes we made were the solar,
Mm-hmm.
if that's included, then yes. But I believe it's the requirement once it comes back from the Attorney General to update it on the website, but I'll check with her.
But that's 90 days, I think.
Yeah, so it should be there. In fact, I'll check. Sometimes we have the bylaws located in more than one spot.
Yeah,
It's
that's
updated.
another issue.
It should be on the town clerk's website, so.
So you've been here for about a year now.
I've been here since October of 2021.
He's learning the ways.
A year and a half.
Can I switch to the parcel that was for sale? Between the Sinet and Wallen Lake Road? I sent that information to William Anderson to have him kick it up to land acquisition for DCR. And I heard back from him yesterday. He said that land acquisition received the parcel information. They reached out to him on thoughts of why they would want to pick it up. And he supplied all that information, and the information was also sent to the DCR Trails Coordinator. He said everyone seems to be in agreement that it has great potential value for the Sinet and the forest.
Yeah.
So I don't know how long that process, and,
This is the one that's off.
yeah, the one I showed you
Yeah.
with that curved connection. That lot also only has 175 feet of frontage. It's zoned RA, which is a minimum requirement of 200 feet for frontage. So at the very least, that's a little bit of a roadblock.
Even, what is it called, a pork chop? Or a doglet, what is it called, that?
No, there's a lot of names for that.
Yeah, but
Flag
it's,
lot, hammerhead lot, pork chop lot. Yeah.
isn't that reduced frontage with additional acreage?
Yes, but the caveat is that that parcel that's allowed reduced frontage is not allowed to be subdivided.
Right.
Yeah.
Just so you know, Becky.
40
okay.
feet.
It's a
It's got
16.
16.6 acres, so that would probably qualify for the
How many feet of frontage does it have?
175.
And it needs 200,
Yes.
so it could qualify for that. That means they'd only get to develop one house on it or something like that if they went for reduced frontage, or they just go for a variance. So,
So in that case, is the trail on one side of it that access it really?
Yeah, actually, the trail is, the boundary line that I showed you on the map, the one that curves around like this that's
The trail. So if worst came to worst, we could try to get an easement for it if it did so.
That would be an avenue to pursue, because that's, what, say, 20 feet?
Yeah, I mean, it's an established trail.
But that's Grand Trunk, or it's
It
not?
is the Grand Trunk.
Yes,
It's the Grand Trunk.
Yeah, we've been using that for over 40 years. Everybody has been using
Right.
it for over 40 years.
Now it's up for sale with Sharkey Realty.
But that's the update on that anyways.
Yep. Did you look into the one on Winter Street too, or somebody said there was just 2 lots for sale?
I didn't revisit that, no, I
Yeah.
just was following up on this because this is
Yeah.
priority.
Right. For sure.
Where's Winter Street?
Winter Street is off of Walnut Street as well, but it's up towards the Wallen Lake end and it goes south
Exactly
to
across
connect
from the
to Rhode
Beagle,
Island.
across from the Beagle Club.
Okay.
It's like a 4-way there,
But is not a town
yeah. It's not accepted.
maintained road.
It was woods
It was a town road at one time on the books, but it got
It's got
discontinued.
beautiful stone walls on both sides of this one-lane dirt road that was put in illegally. So, let's see. The sign's been knocked down. It was knocked down, not bad.
Well, so in the realm of planning, I was looking at some things, or maybe some comments for the Pine site that I was doing, and our master plan hasn't been updated since 1998.
Correct.
So is there any move to do that? Because a lot of our work also would dovetail with the master plan.
Yes, it is my least favorite thing to do, but it is part of the job. That's about a 3 to 4 year process.
Wow, really?
Yes. There would, unless we are doing all 8 chapters on our own, we have to go out to bid for those. Economic development, housing, actually open space is a chapter of its own, which is pulled from the open space plan, so that's one that's done, so to speak. But we'll be 3 years from expiration by the time we finish the master plan. So we need to engage consultant services and have the funds to be able to do so. And that all starts with submitting articles to town meeting.
So what are we waiting for?
Well,
I have to have about 10 minutes to do it.
so we'll need some quotes. We'll need at least something to weigh. We have to set up a master plan committee. It's usually a vote of the selectmen to do so. It's their initiative. Talk to the town administrator about it, see when they want to get that process started. But yeah, we are overdue. I knew that when I took the job.
One of the viewscapes is across the pond to the hillside, across from the envelope factory.
One of the things, one of the things with the master plan that I read anyway is a lot of this stuff is only getting accomplished now. Even though it's from 1998,
Right.
most of the Northeast Douglas development is the stuff that Bob and Eric's doing now. So a lot of the goals might align, and that might be why it hasn't been updated. So, because those goals are still valid right now, even though they're 23 years over the due date. So
Did we write it the last time, or people?
there was a lot of volunteers involved.
Yeah, I remember that, yeah.
Yep. I know sometimes it's a contentious process, but at least it gives us some kind of an idea of where we should be heading instead of, even if it's 20 years later, instead of just random.
It's still got the right ideas in it, just they haven't been enacted.
Mhm.
All right, anything else? No? All right, well, we can all do our little homeworks and get ideas and look at our notes and scribble new ideas, and I'll put out an agenda for the next meeting.
Good, all right, I'll move we adjourn.
Second that? I'll give it to you.
All in favor?
Yeah.
Aye.
Bye.
251.